WikiLeaks with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Oh, we're not afraid, but we're getting visited by the man. Here, right here. You see this? You see this? Yeah, I put it up for the video there. You know, the city of Phoenix is coming by. They're saying, you know what? We got a new ordinance for y'all. Do you have contracted refuse disposal? We see you got bins out here, but you're in violation. We're going to give you a ticket if you don't show us that you have a contract for your bin. I'm going, seriously? Is it that bad? I mean, you guys need that much money? So they're out there right now videotaping and getting some information from them. They're just out collecting some money. You know, this is how bad it's getting. Oh, man. I got up here on the screen, antiwar.com/radio. One of my favorite guys, Scott Horton, man. I got you there, Scott.
I'm here. Thanks for having me, Ernie. Appreciate it.
Oh, Scott, I don't know if there's anything you can do to make me feel better, but I mean, you know, this WikiLeaks thing. I mean, I'm sure you guys have been examining some of the stuff there. What's going on?
Well, we're trying. You know, antiwar.com is more than a one-man thing, and I've only had an opportunity. Well, I'm sure all of us combined have only had an opportunity to examine a small portion of the document so far, but I think, you know, if it's feeling better that you need, you should, you know, take time to give thanks to Bradley Manning and to the organization of WikiLeaks for providing this platform for this kind of information to get out. This kid, Bradley Manning, who is, I guess, generally assumed to have been the one who leaked all of this, he seemed to have admitted it according to the chat logs published to Wired. He's facing 57 years in prison. He's basically given up his life. Not deliberately, he should have kept his mouth shut about what he did, but still, he's basically facing, you know, till he's in his 70s, you know, the rest of his life in a cage, in order to bring us this information, the Afghan war logs, the Iraq war logs, and now this giant cache, 250,000 State Department cables that show the contempt with which the people who run the American empire hold the rest of the world. I mean, you'd think you were reading about English royalty and the views that they had of Africans back 200 years ago or something, to read the way Hillary Clinton thinks of her counterparts and even our allied nations. Read the way her State Department people talk about even our closest friends, as though they only exist to serve us.
Well, you know, Bradley, I was looking, doing a little bit of research, and I found that he's been in solitary confinement for months and months and months. And I wonder what kind of impact this has on people. The only people that I remember that at a Guantanamo that have gone to trial and so on, they recently, just a couple weeks ago, they were exonerated. You know, not guilty. I don't know how the government, likes that. It'd be interesting. They get, but he's PFC. I mean, he's in the military, and he's going to definitely, there's no bones about it, he's going to go through a court-martial. Now, I can't imagine that a military tribunal or whatever they put him up before.
Well, they'll have a much fairer trial than what's going on in the ridiculous Star Chamber nonsense down at Guantanamo Bay. And, in fact, people can contribute to Bradley Manning's legal defense at bradleymanning.org. They're tied in with Courage to Resist, who represented Aaron Watada and other conscientious objectors. They're a well-established, credible organization. They're working, it's all legit and on the up and up. The money's going straight to Bradley Manning's lawyers. That's bradleymanning.org. And, Ernie, try to take the long view. This is the history of the world being written here. This is American history being written here. And Bradley Manning is an American hero. He deserves to be appreciated and supported. He deserves to know, because he's not at Guantanamo. He does have military process for his rights, and he deserves to be able to hear that there are people out here who care about him and support him and appreciate the sacrifice that he's made to bring us the truths embedded in here. And there's some doozies.
I can't imagine that you're going to have a court-martial that's going to free him. I mean, hey, did you or did you not download
I just meant he will get to at least talk to his lawyer and visit his family briefly, that kind of thing, as opposed to the way the people at Guantanamo are treated.
Yeah, he was, if you read some of his comments that the limited amount that they put out of him actually talking, and he said that, I somebody had to do this, and I could, so I did.
That's right. Yes, and in fact, there's an entire smear campaign about, he did it because he was gay, and he did it because he just didn't fit into the Army, and he didn't fit in the world, and he was just a lost young soul, and they couldn't really smear him with anything other than calling him weak, basically calling him a sissy. And yet, it's right there at Wired.com in the transcripts of his chat logs with, his instant chat messages with the rat, Adrian Lamo, that turned him over to the feds. And he says that he was ordered, Ernie, to help the Iraqi police, so-called, arrest these men. And it turned out that at least the one had done nothing, had committed no crime, but had written an op-ed piece, like our cherished First Amendment free speech, criticizing in no radical way, really, the Prime Minister. It was a piece called "Where Did the Money Go?" about, Nuri al-Maliki and corruption. And he was arrested, and Bradley Manning went to his superior officer and said, well, look, this is wrong. What do I do? And his superior officer said, never you mind. You go back to work helping these people round up more innocents, the Iraqi police round up more innocents, and keep your mouth shut about it. And he said, but wait a minute. This is a young guy. He's 20, 21 years old or something. He was a kid when 9/11 happened, I guess, if you do the arithmetic there. Mostly a kid. And he said, well, wait a minute. So if we're the good guys, then how come we're in on doing bad guy things, like helping to arrest somebody for writing an article? That doesn't make sense, and that was the beginning of the break. He describes the whole thing to the rat Lamo. And that was what happened, was he was ordered to help incarcerate innocent people, Ernie, and he said, that's it, man, I can't do this. And he had access to all these documents, and he said near criminal activity going on, talking about the exploitation of the third world by the Western empires, the American empire particularly, and said that, hey, the truth is owed to the people about what's going on here. So, the New York Times can try to smear Bradley Manning, and Lord knows they're going to continue smearing Julian Assange, but there's obviously nothing but the most pure and above-board motives behind all of this. It's insane to hear the right wing talking about how this is treason, when this is, the most loyal thing that Bradley Manning could have done for the American people.
Well, I hope he gets a full hearing on this stuff, because, this is, we're seeing some of the headlines now that are just coming out that reason I thought of you is we have the Iranian nuclear scientists killed in motorcycle bombs put on, they're driving by, going to work with their wives. They put the bomb up on the window. Boom. It's like a 007 Mossad whatever thing, and boom. We have an Iranian scientist dead. We have another one gravely wounded. And I'm going, how does this play in? When you got the WikiLeaks thing, it's like all of this, there's background for all of these things that are happening. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I want to talk about, the Pentagon having the ability to do their near-space strike craft. From Langley, they push it, but they don't even need a drone anymore. They got a missile coming out of Kansas or whatever. In an hour, anywhere around the planet, man, they're bombing people. So I'm just, this is kind of the stuff that antiwar.com has been warning us about. Well, it's here. It's here. When we come back here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, my good friend Scott Horton, which will be at the Freedom Summit, by the way, freedomsummit.com. You go ahead and check it out, man. We're going to have a good time this weekend. But I tell you, when I come back, I want to get from Scott, some of the Chinese. We have the North and South Korea going at it. I mean, antiwar.com, I bet their traffic's going up now, because this is stuff we need to know. Scott's going to share it with us when we come back in just a little bit. You stay right there.